just a haircut.
It's an experience.
Welcome to Sons of UCF Live.
Good night.
Charge on.
Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trace Frelko. Welcome into the Sons of UCF Live. Adam, let's get a quick hello from you before we turn to UCF Mike, because this is the part of the show where your internet drops. So say hi real quick.
Yeah, I'll be here for like 13 seconds. I'll see you later. It's a good thing the Heat game is on. I'm watching it, so you don't have to pull a UCF Mike and not tell me the score.
And now Adam will drop out. Mike, hello. How are you?
Minutes.
The NFL dropping its schedule right off the top here, and I'd love your reaction to the Giants schedule when it officially comes out. How many wins?
Oof, the Giants have been crap for years now. But the schedule is very soft. They have one of the easiest schedules in the league.
So 4 wins, 5?
I'm expecting a better performance this year. Maybe the 6. Let's go with 6 and 11.
6, knocking on the playoff door in the NFC East. That's what that is. Let's begin. By the way, we can comment on NBA action. Adam's okay with that, unlike last week when we were shunned. We were
guys do at the beginning of the show. I've never actually seen the beginning of the show. This is what happens. Okay, good to know.
He's back. Let's begin on a basketball theme with an appreciation for one Kirk Spiro, former UCF men's basketball head coach, retiring after 43 seasons in coaching. Of course, that included 17 years as head coach of the UCF Knights, 4 NCAA tournament appearances. Salute to Kirk Spiro.
Yeah, I'll always have a soft spot for Kirk. He was the coach when Mike and I were at school there. We went to a lot of games at the arena. You know, the Kirk's Jerks were out in full of force. You know, it was a fun time. We were kind of a grassroots program, you know, playing in the A-Sun back then. And, you know, Kirk kept the program afloat. Obviously, a lot of tough shoes to fill. Torchy Clark had a lot of success. We transitioned into a different era of Knights basketball. Kirk did a really nice job keeping things together. It was a solid program. Obviously, we didn't have as many breakthroughs, I think, as people had wanted to, but Kirk was a solid coach, a solid citizen, and a solid ambassador for UCF. So much congratulations to him on his retirement. And once a Knight, always a Knight, right?
In this case, yes. He was a Knight for a very long time, with 17 years, I believe, in the black and gold. Very good job. It brought the team to the dance a few times. And we were playing in a conference where you had to win the conference to get in. And he did it a couple times. Put a scare into Pittsburgh that one time in the tournament. We could have won that one if we don't dribble the ball off our foot. The UConn game even made a nice comeback in that game too and made it close for a little while. So some good performances from his teams.
With the 4 NCAA tournament appearances, more worthy of the Mount Rushmore of UCF men's basketball head coaches than Torchy Clark, different eras?
No, I mean, Torchy's number 1 all time. But he's on the Mount Rushmore for sure. I'd put him right up there at 2. I mean, if you want to argue Dawkins.
Of coaches, or you've got.
No, for basketball coaches.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, he's going to be on there for 4 basketball coaches. I mean, what do we put Donnie Jones on there? Come on.
You got some good recruits.
Well, then,
you put him ahead of Dawkins?
That's an interesting question.
Answer it.
Right now, yes.
Yes or no?
Right now, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right now, yes. He was able to do so much with an even more shoestring budget back in those days, even skimpier than what they have now, and very inadequate facilities, and what is now known as the venue. And so, yeah, I think right now I would.
Yeah, our arena had a garage door on it, basically. We fit about 200 people in there.
Mike's retort of "Answer it." What's the best part of this entire segment?
It's a family show. Jeez, it's a little forceful. We're going to talk a little bit with our legal expert coming up about the Terrence Lewis arrest, but a couple other football notes before we get to our first guest tonight. Cole Joyce, you remember him, former UCF linebacker, entered the portal today announcing he's going to Utah State. Mike typically doesn't like to wish former players well, but I will. Good luck, Cole, in your new venture. And then we talked about death taxes, the Jaguars selecting a UCF football player somewhere in the draft or free agent signee, and then they cut kicker Matt Wright, who makes nearly every extra point in long-distance field goals. So I think we can dislike the Jaguars again.
Kickers in the NFL, though, I mean, look, he'll have a team. He'll be on 2 teams by the time the league, kicks off again this year. I mean, kickers are such a commodity in the NFL. Every week, a team is, bringing in a kicker to try out because their kicker missed an extra point. I got to think Matt Wright will catch on someplace. Obviously, he had probably the best season of any Jaguar last year, for being honest. So, I got to imagine at some point he'll find himself in a camp and battling for a job again.
Yeah, he had a very good year last year. He's very consistent. He hit like 3 kicks over 50 yards. So
3 or 4. Yeah.
He won the game, I think,
game
against the
winner.
Dolphins.
Yeah. The game in London. So he'll keep getting his chances. He's going to be around for a while.
And of course, he's smart. He was working at Lockheed Martin before he got the call to the NFL, so he'll be employable in some capacity.
Also, fun fact, Trace, about Utah State, by the way, Anthony Tucker, former offensive coordinator, is there as the OC, and Hayden Kingston, former quarterback, is there as a grad assistant. So a connection for Cole Joyce and Utah State. Fun fact.
Gotcha. So now Utah State will be rating UCF the way UCF raids Auburn, perhaps, for a little stretch there?
Probably. I mean, they can have some of those guys, I guess.
Do you still follow Jay Flash, former UCF wide receiver who entered the pool?
Once a night, always a night, but I have a rule. Once you're not on the team anymore, I unfollow you on social media. That's typically, I've got a lot of other people to follow, a lot of media accounts, a lot of current players, recruits. I only have so much bandwidth to follow people. So when you declare you're done with UCF, I typically hit the unfollow button. If you leave as a coach, I hit the unfollow button. Nothing personal, just a lot of things going on. So I don't follow Jay Flash, although I saw Jason Beatty posting his picture or video today of his time at Miami. And I saw that Mississippi couldn't spell his name correctly.
Yeah, so Ole Miss, maybe reunited with Josh Heupel at Tennessee. He's down in real South Florida visiting Miami, all of which, of course, prompts the question I asked grade the UCF wide receivers coming out of spring camp, and not overwhelmingly, a good number saying a B grade, which I think is fair. We know we've got Ryan O'Keefe. Jay Flash was in the mix there, right? Competing with Ryan. Gives Kobe Hudson an opportunity to shine. But then there are question marks. We still had those question marks about who was going to step up, but now even more so.
Yeah, so I think 1, 2, I think are pretty clearly Ryan O'Keefe and Kobe Hudson. I think 3, 4, we've heard a lot about Jalen Griffin and him stepping up. There was talk of him battling for that third receiver spot, so I think he probably ascends to that. We saw a lot of Amari Johnson in the spring game, a lot of the screen pass, the tunnel screens to Amari Johnson. He was pretty active. I got to think he's got that 4 spot lined up right now. And then I think it's a battle between Jordan Johnson, Deontay Marks for whatever's next. Joey Gatewood is a receiver. We know Gus has a soft spot.
He's a guy.
There's going to be a packet. Everyone prepare yourself now. There will be a goal line fade to Joey Gatewood at some point next year. Start drinking if you need to now, but that will be a thing. You can book it right here on the Sons of UCF.
I'm looking at Amari Johnson, man. That's the guy that I'm looking forward to the last couple of years. We all know the one big play he had last year, the one that bounced off his shoulder in Louisville. But I think he's going to be poised for a big year, and he's going to step into that role.
Mike, how'd you grade this? A, B? I think B seems fair losing Jay Flash.
Yeah, it's not an A until proven otherwise, which it has the potential to be an A. But we still got to see it from some of these guys.
A potential. I mentioned off the top news that began the week that linebacker Terrence Lewis, an area position need already on the UCF football team, arrested on a domestic violence charge down in Miami Gardens, reportedly from @Andy Slater, media journalist, that he punched a woman in the mouth at a Miami Gardens home. So let's bring in our legal eagle, Michael Hoffman with Gordon and Partners, proud sponsor of the Sons of UCF. Michael, welcome back into the Sons of UCF Live.
Hey, how's it going, Trace? Thanks for having me.
Doing well. We're going to get into a little NIL talk, but how serious is this charge that Terrence Lewis is facing?
I mean, it's pretty serious. It's a domestic violence assault, or domestic violence charges are always serious. Now, they also go away the most often because, obviously, in this situation, it's two people that know each other. They're saying that it's probably, I think the last thing that I saw is that it was his cousin that he hit. And so, but oftentimes when you see it's when it's a girlfriend, a spouse, a cousin, a family member, they don't proceed to press charges. And so there's a lot of A in the beginning and then it disappears. So that's his best case scenario, but it's a pretty serious charge. I'm actually pretty surprised that that UCF is just investigating at this point and haven't preemptively suspended him. Well,
you mentioned the charges there, but of course there's the whole other part, the UCF disciplinary action, not only as a university, but obviously athletics. So a lot more to come on this, but not the way you want to begin the week, certainly for him, certainly for UCF fans in an area such as linebacker where there's a position of need. But we also brought you on to talk about NIL. NCAA late to the party again on this. They say they're going to do something, but does that really mean much? They seem rather toothless about most things.
I don't know how they're going to do anything. It's they didn't do anything before. You guys talk about it all the time. Like, it's not a new thing to pay players to do things for you in college. I mean, we've been doing this since SMU before that, back at the beginning of time. So I don't know how they're going to regulate it. The big thing they keep talking about is boosters. Boosters can't do this. Boosters can't do this. Boosters can't do this. And then, can't help with recruiting, can't give money, can't do that. And that'll be easy to regulate with, like, say, Nike or Adidas, or easier to regulate with, like, some of the major brands. But how are they going to handle it with each individual group? You get talking about them being late to the party. They always said that they were going to wait until it kind of flushed itself out a little bit and then jump in.
And what did we learn? That a lot of money's flying around.
Yeah, I think, though, what has come out recently is that you're going to see is they're going to try and clamp down on some of this stuff, like University of Texas had done, where the hospital system was, like, sponsoring every lineman for $50,000. If you were an offensive lineman at University of Texas, you were getting $50K to be this offensive lineman. I think stuff like that, or the deal at UM that they were talking about, University of Miami, for another, I think it was another around $50 grand. Pretty much, if you come here to play football, you'll make it a minimum $50 grand in this contract from that billionaire. Those things are, I think, is what they're trying to push out, because they talk specifically in the regulations about, or the proposed regulations about, each deal needing to be individualized. So not just these broad-based deals. They don't want it to be considered a pay-for-play where it's like, this is the standard, this is the contract, come here, and then you'll get whatever else you get. So I think those things they're going to try and clamp down on, but I mean, how, and who knows if they even will.
All right, so I'm going to read, I have the NCAA ruling. I'm going to read this for you, and you tell me what this means. NIL agreements must be based on an independent, case-by-case analysis of the value that each athlete brings to the NIL agreement, as opposed to providing compensation or incentives for enrollment decisions. You're a lawyer. How would you defend against this? What does this even mean, A? And how enforceable or defendable is something like that?
I mean, I'm smiling and laughing because I can make an argument for everybody. You can. It's so incredibly broad and vague. It's not even close to enforceable. If somebody really tried to fight it, let's say that they ruled the offensive lineman at Texas ineligible because the deal wasn't individualized, they'll be able to fight it till the kid's been playing in the NFL for 15 years, and nothing has happened. It'll be like a Reggie Bush situation. But what it means is what I was talking about. It means that you can't make these broad-based deals. You can't just say, if you come play offensive line for UT, you're going to make this much money. You have to say, this guy has got social media reach of, so I'll give you an example. So let's say Adam and Trace were both going for deals. Mike's trying to get a deal with Adam and Trace, an NIL deal. You guys are athletes at UCF. And Trace is working on his walk and talks and doing all of his, his social media stuff, tweeting and all this stuff. And he's got 10,000 followers on Twitter. He's got his 10,000 YouTube subscriber. He's getting a tattoo, right? And, we're ready to go. And Adam doesn't have that. Adam's got barely on Twitter, barely on whatever, doesn't have much of an influence. You can't, it's going to be a clear distinction, because if I'm paying both of you, or Mike's paying both of you to do tweets for us, say, I'll give you $1,000 for every time you tweet out my name. There's clearly a difference in value. So it wouldn't be individualized. You would have to look at it and say, Trace is worth X number of dollars more. And there's metrics and all that stuff from all these influencers, and there's an idea. They can figure out what these things are worth. So, that's what they're talking about. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know. I don't know if that was a good explanation. But.
Michael Hoffman. You can Venmo me the money later.
Yeah. but I think that's what they're talking about. Like, some people really work on their, like the kid, I can never remember his name because this was pre-NIL and it made me hate him, but the kicker, Dalhauser or whatever his name was.
Donald Delahaye.
He had a social media follow, right? So, he would have been worth more than, Matty Ice, even if Matty Ice was, killing it for us and doing really well. If Matty Ice didn't have that backing, you could make the argument that, he was worth more money because he had a bigger reach now. But then how do you define that? Because to me, and I could say, yeah, maybe that's true, but people don't like this kid. They like Matty Ice. So even if he only sees 10 people, it's worth more. It's just very ambiguous, as all NCAA things are. Very, very ambiguous.
Is the NCAA too late now to try to regulate this? I mean, these people already have agreements with these companies. They're going to come in and change the rules. If I already signed $1 million deal with somebody, they're not going to be able to take that away, right?
No, I mean, they're not going to be able to avoid that stuff. And And what I found interesting is I haven't seen anywhere where they're making each kid submit these deals. You know, I don't see where they're making them disclose them as part of any like financial aid package or anything like that, which is where they could get shifty with it. You know, it can mess up scholarships because, you know, for example, when you get the Pell Grant or whatever, you have to show income and your parents' income and all that stuff. If all of a sudden you're making $1 bazillion, you don't qualify for financial aid anymore. Excuse me. And a lot of these kids are getting that. So we'll see. But no, I don't know how they could void these contracts that are already in place. What was interesting in pro athlete on this thing here, the loophole that's going to be there is like you have it says that they can't make these deals contingent on you being at the school. And if you leave the school, they can't take it away. So, you know, we look at the kid that was at Ohio State, that, you know, the mullet, I can't remember anybody's name, but he was the number one QB recruit in the country. And he got like $1 million after not playing to go to Texas or something like that. And everybody's like, oh, well, I bet you they're going to get all his NIL money back. I don't know how. You know, now these contracts are saying that they can bounce around. So, you know, Rock'em Sox is going to have a hard time getting Dylan's, voiding a contract with Dylan Gabriel because he went to OU. I think that's going to be where it's interesting to everybody's assuming that it's like, well, nope, I'll pay you all this money, but the second you leave, if you leave, you can't have it. I don't think they're going to be able to do that because that was pretty clear in the rule and the guidelines that wouldn't be, yes, thank you, Bumblebee. That's viewers. But I think it's very clear that you can't do it because that would be pay for play. That's like by definition, stay at my school, come to my school. We can pay you to play. That kid that came out at UM, the basketball player, and he was like, I want a bigger NIL deal or I'm leaving. That he said that like 3 days before the NCAA had come out with this, but that would be a clear violation based on my understanding of it because they're specifically paying him to stay at the school. They can't pretend like it's because they want him to sell used cars for him.
You mentioned IRS and Pell Grants and the like. I imagine tax filing deadline was interesting for some of these student athletes scrambling to get all of that paperwork in.
So this is the thing. You talk about NCAA being late to the party. If the NCAA had just been proactive and got this done and made very clear rules on this, say 5-10 years ago, 3 years ago, and didn't allow the states to run on this, it could have been really clear. They could have had clearinghouses for all this stuff. It could have been much more handled. There would have been no pressure on the states to pass any laws. It would have been easy. But now there's kids that are going to get in trouble. You're going to see do you remember the show Survivor? The first year that guy got he won $1 million, and a couple years later he got arrested for
Richard Hatch. Fun fact, yes.
Yeah, Richard Hatch. Thank you for tax.
I'm not proud of that.
He didn't realize he had to pay taxes on his $1 million prize winning from Survivor. That guy was like 60. Right? He's been paying taxes his whole life. What do you think a 17-year-old kid from whatever is gonna know when he gets his money? There are gonna be so many problems. I mean, we're gonna be seeing kids getting in trouble, like real trouble, because the IRS does not care. Like they don't care about. They're coming for their money and they're gonna get it. Like that's, Wesley. We're gonna have a bunch of Wesley Snipes scenarios. So these guys making this money, spending it like crazy, and then, what do you mean I got to pay 40%?
So, Mike, make a note here. You might need to amend your tax return. The $1 million that's flowing into the sons of UCF. You might need to amend that. Michael, you give out your phone number just willingly. Is that it's part of the advertising for Gordon and Partners, or is that just a you thing?
My phone rings. I mean, I do it. My phone rings a lot. You gotta answer it, but you never know. It could be a really good case, so I take it. But I just pretty much mostly just give it my phone number. Yeah.
You want to do that right now? You want to promote the biz?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, 407-913-5350 for all your NIL needs. No, I'm just kidding. But
they branched out. They're now covering that.
Yeah. I took a CLE, a continuing learning, class that we have to take to keep our licenses on NIL, and I was like really excited to learn about it. Not because I was going to do anything with it, but just to learn about it. And it was the most uneventful class ever because nobody has any idea what the heck they're doing, so which would be the last point before I jump off with you guys is that when you look at the NCAA, the NBA and MLB, whatever, all the professional sports teams, to be an agent, you have to be like certified, and there's a bunch of standards that you have to go through to be an NBA agent or an NFL agent or a financial advisor to these people and all this stuff. These are for professional athletes. Tons of rules for these college kids now. Their roommate can be their agent. and they have agents, these NIL agents and whatnot. It's completely the Wild West. There's going to be kids getting taken advantage of left and right. It's really crazy. It's horrible.
Fun times, Michael. Fun times.
It's
Plenty
really
of
gonna be
material
bad.
to cover all summer long here on the Sons of UCF Live. Michael Hoffman, Gordon and Partners, proud sponsor of the Sons of UCF. Thanks for joining us on Sons of UCF Live.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Mike.
very much. All right, so Mike, report that money, okay? Don't don't underreport.
I haven't seen any of the money from Gordon and Partners. Adam's been holding on to it.
Whoa!
I don't know
Wow.
if it exists.
Wow.
Wow.
Post show,
all-
Mike. Post show conversation.
Jeez. Remember we did that one week on Instagram.
Next on Maury Povich. Fair.
Well, let's turn the page, but continue this theme a little bit. Talk about a UCF former UCF athlete who existed a pre-NIL era Olympic gold medalist. Phil Dalhauser joins us now on the Sons of UCF Live. Phil, welcome in.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
You were listening to a bit of that conversation. What do you make of NIL?
What exactly is an NIL?
Name, image, and likeness. Being paid for your participation.
For college athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't they get paid for their NIL? Like, I thought NCAA was running some kind of scam for all these years. These poor kids, I thought were getting taken advantage of, and now they can make some money. I think it's great for them. Granted, as what was his name, Mike?
Yeah.
Some kids will get taken advantage of for sure, and they're going to run into some problems. But I think it's better problems, I guess, than not making any money.
Well, speaking of making money, Phil, you did that for a long time on the tour, and I know you announced your retirement a while back, but you played this past weekend. You guys won the Austin Open, you and Andy Benesh. So what's your current playing status? Are you retired? Are you semi-retired? Are you kind of coming out for select tournaments? Where are you at right now?
Well, I actually retired from international volleyball, beach volleyball, and I never said I was going to retire completely. And so I'm playing domestically this year, which is on the AVP tour. And I wasn't really actually supposed to play Austin, but Andy's partner, actually my old partner, Nick Lucena, rolled his ankle or something, and he was like, "Hey, you want to play?" And I said, "Sure." I was like, "Sure, why not? It should be fun." And we ended up winning the whole thing.
Hey, Phil, you were at UCF around the same time as Adam and I, early 2000s. We used to have these volleyball tournaments out at Knights Crossing Phase 3. Did you ever play there? And do you remember, what were your favorite courts to play at?
Well, luckily, there was 4 really nice lit beach volleyball courts on campus. I think the gym is on top of those courts now. So I probably spent more time there than I did in class, honestly. I was out there all the time, but I'm not so sure what courts you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it was just a new apartment complex that opened when we first moved up there in like 98. And then we had beach volleyball tournaments out there like every weekend, basically.
Oh.
You missed that then. How would you describe the growth of beach volleyball as a sport across the country?
So for women, the growth is like crazy. I think it's the fastest growing sport in college. And man, they just have a pipeline into the pro tour like no other country does. Like U.S. women are going to dominate the world of beach volleyball and really indoor volleyball for a long time. But on the men's side, it's a little weaker. The growth is not there. It's actually probably shrinking, I guess, is the opposite of growth, huh? So it's a little unfortunate for the boys. The boys don't have much opportunities.
Phil, you mentioned you and Nick Lucena. You guys were a strong partnership for a long time, won a gold medal. As you can see here, I have to do this show each week with these two knuckleheads. So can you give me some advice on how do you form a strong partnership? What are the core things that I should do to form a partnership and carry these two every week on the show?
Being a good partner, I talk a lot about, which was probably my weakest part of my game, honestly, because I always had the belief when I was playing that I take care of what I need to do. You deal with your stuff, and now I realize like I could have maybe helped out my partners a little more when they were struggling, because there's no one on the beach volleyball court. There's no hiding. Like you can't sub in someone else. Like if someone's struggling, you better believe that person's going to get picked on. And I never was the best partner to really help my partner out when he was struggling. So
Adam,
I got
help
nothing
Mike.
for you. I'm sorry.
Adam,
No,
help
I
Mike.
help Mike a
Help
lot.
Mike
That's
out.
good feedback. Thank you. No, that's good
Maybe
feedback.
put him on mute or something.
Fair enough. He mutes himself a lot anyway. That's fine.
All right.
Phil, you've gotten to travel the world playing volleyball. What are your favorite cities to visit, and what's the nicest beach in your opinion?
The nicest beach I've been to, probably Rio. I mean, Copacabana. Well, the next beach over is called Ipanema, which is it's still Rio de Janeiro. But I would have to say the nicest beach is there. Unfortunately, they don't really. I hope I don't offend anyone with this, but they don't really take care of the beach. It's kind of like sometimes you have trash wash up and stuff. But other than that, it's gorgeous there. But my favorite cities to play in, I'm a little biased, but we used to play a tournament in Gstaad, Switzerland. It's in the middle of the Alps, this little valley city, and it's like crazy. Like you get off the train, and it feels like you're like in a fairy tale or something. It's unreal beautiful. So that's probably my favorite city to play in.
Well, let's wrap up with this. You got a number of summer camps that are coming up. Tell us more about the Beach Volleyball Academy and what you guys got coming up.
Well, the sport has been pretty good to me, so I'm trying to give back to the sport and grow a nice little beach volleyball community in Orlando. Because when I was living here, man, I didn't have any problem finding a game. Like I said, I was at the courts every weekend or almost every day over at UCF. But it's really not like that anymore. So I'm trying to start with the kids here and get kids playing on the sand. And so there's our dates there for the summer.
And do you also
Phil, we got
offer
a
classes
question
for beginners and adults as well?
No adults yet. We do have like a social league that's going on actually on Thursday nights, which is more like hit the volleyball around and have a couple beers and a burger. So it's not really.
So we got a question for one of our listeners here. Wants to know,
okay.
Since you have your academy, have you ever considered becoming a beach volleyball coach at the college level one day? Is that something you want to get into as coaching?
At first, I was very interested. I actually talked to the indoor coach at UCF a few times, Todd. Yes. And he was kind of pushing for it, but now I have a friend that's a head coach. She's at Florida State, and I see all the stuff she deals with. And now I don't have any desire to be a collegiate coach, because it's a lot with the kids and the parents and all the rules that she's got to know. And like, this is too much. There's no coaching. It's really just trying to tiptoe through everything.
And you'd have to deal with all that NIL money and collectives and all those dollars flowing out for recruits.
Yeah.
We're glad you can still enjoy the game, playing and teaching, kids and the opportunities available at the Beach Volleyball Academy. Phil Dalhauser, thank you for being with us on the Sons of UCF Live.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you very much. All right. So what did you learn, Adam, about partnerships, teamwork, since we've already heard from Mike that you're holding on to money.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna cut Mike's mic from here on out. Really, is what it's gonna be. I'm just gonna let the guest decide if you want to hear from Mike this week or not.
That could be a fun part of the show.
Yeah,
well, Brian's coming on soon.
Yeah, our next guest might not want to hear from Mike, so we may have the first ever Sons of UCF time where a guest gives Mike the cut sign. We'll see.
I'm good for a 10-minute break. I had a long day today. I had a long night last night, so still recovering.
What do you think the odds are that Mike will call Michael Hoffman? He never did call BJ Taylor, right? You never called him. You still haven't kept in touch with George O'Leary.
Numbers.
The Yankees are in first place.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be calling George?
Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything now with the Yankees. I can't call him up.
It's 24 games into the season now. We can't jinx anything. I like that. Some softball news. Of course, softball in the American Athletic Conference Championship. Before we talk about baseball, different directions for these programs. 15th ranked softball. They're top 20 in all of the various polls. 44-12. Of course, celebrating their first regular season championship since 2015. They're in Greenville, North Carolina, a tournament that was supposed to be played at UCF, but Mike Oresco and AAC got annoyed that UCF's leaving for the Big 12, so they yanked that tournament away. UCF up in Greenville. They're going to play Houston Friday now 9 a.m. because of an 80% chance of rain in Greenville, North Carolina. By the way, not an 80% chance of rain in Orlando. So those games could have probably been played at a normal time, be on ESPN Plus. They'll face the winner of Wichita State against our friends over in Tampa. Now, you remember UCF just 2 losses in conference play, one of those to Houston when they led 7-1, I think it was, and lost 9-8. So a little bit of revenge on their mind there. So NCAA selection show Sunday. UCF hoping to be one of those seeds that's going to host games. We'll see how it turns out for them this weekend. Cindy Ball Malone, this soundbite courtesy of our friend Eric Lopez on her thoughts on keys to winning the AAC championship this weekend.
Getting ahead of batters, playing routine defense, and then offensively, we've seen every pitcher. There's no surprise. Now it's just a matter of making adjustments before the game starts and knowing, what those pitchers' strengths are and just working towards ours.
AAC awards announced this week as well. Coaching Staff of the Year, UCF Defensive Player of the Year, Justine Molina. Rookie of the Year, Michaela Macario. First Team All-Conference, Gianna Mancha, Jada Cody, who was on this show a couple weeks back, Kennedy Searcy, Denali Shoppacher. Mike, you were a little skeptical on the podcast this week that you think somewhere along the line UCF's going to get hosed and not host.
Yeah, I think we have to win this conference tournament. Otherwise, they're going to use that against us. We should be hosting, but we've seen this story before. It doesn't always work out that way. We have to win this tournament convincingly, maybe move up in the rankings a couple more spots, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm not holding my breath on this.
Yeah, I always take the words of the great and wise Eric Lopez, who always says, if you think that the football selection committee and the basketball selection committee are corrupt, softball and volleyball would like a word. So you never say it's official until it's official on this one. The metrics, the numbers, Elo does a great job breaking that down, would tell you that UCF is in a really good position, but all these situations come up that all of a sudden there's reasons. So I'm with Mike. I'm in camp skeptical until I actually see it flash on the screen. Not that it's not deserved, by the way, but I feel like there's going to be some sort of a weird nuance of a rule that's going to take that away from us. And it just seems like we always get the short end of the stick on those things.
If Eric's watching, perhaps he'll type on the screen and let us know. I believe it was 2017. He's talked about this, but I don't know the reason, Eric, that number 1 in the country, Minnesota, did not end up hosting. Is there a venue issue? And that just goes to show you that sometimes these selections can be crazy. I think obviously they've got to win Friday in that game and then get to the title game on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. start, depending on the weather, obviously. Maybe they move that around again. But I think they got to at least win Friday to make their case. But I'll remain skeptical right up to the selection show on Sunday.
And single elimination. I didn't think it happened in one game scenario. You have a bad day, and then all of a sudden you're out.
Yeah, tale of two programs, of course. I feel like, remember the old Sports Illustrated jinx? If you were on the cover, something happened. And EA Sports is another one, right? I threw out a week ago, maybe Greg Lovelady be AAC Coach of the Year. Then they dropped the final 2 games of the weekend series in Tampa. And then they lose in real South Florida 16-10. I guess the Hurricanes missed an extra point in that one. The Knights have now lost 3 straight stumbling here towards the stretch, right?
Yeah, losing the series to the Cows always stings, right? Because obviously that's your rival team. You always want to kind of put them away. A great Friday night performance, and then two games Saturday, Sunday, where you feel like you had some opportunities, but bats just weren't there. You weren't able to get runs across the plate. Then you go to Miami, number 6 ranked team in the nation. You got to imagine the guys were pretty juiced up. You saw on social media they went with the Miami Vice outfits on the way down there. Figured they're going to play loose, have a little fun. Clearly, runs were not premium, but obviously end up on the short end of the stick, from a pitching perspective. So you hope that at Houston helps you right the ship this weekend. Houston's a good team, though. They're sitting in second right now in the AAC, right in front of UCF. So won't be an easy task going to Houston to try to play this weekend.
A missed opportunity last weekend. We talked to Steven last weekend. We talked about how we needed to sweep the Cows. You win that first game and then have 2 clunkers after that. That really hurts. We're really behind the 8 ball, and we got to make up for it this weekend, though.
Do we have Steven yet? Is he in the
We
green
do have
room?
Steven. Yeah, he is ready to roll.
A week ago, Steven showed us a finger, not the finger, a finger.
Just a finger.
He joins us. We had Phil Dalhauser on earlier. What's your beach volleyball expertise?
It's very recreational. And part of me is wondering why you keep having me on here when you have cool people like that come on. That guy's a different level compared to who I even come close to being. So I am honored to be on the show after people like that. This takes it to another level, guys.
First of all, we think you're cool. Secondly, we have Mike on every week.
Sometimes.
All right. So I threw out Greg Lovelady, AAC Coach of the Year contender last week. Things were righted, and then they dropped 2 out of 3. Can't score. 15 left on base Friday. That was in a win. And then 16-10 loss at Miami. What is going on this week?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when we could figure that out, that's when the program turns around. But it's been this way, right? It's been so up and down. There's times where you're like, this is a regional team, and then there's times where it's like, how is this team going to win 10 games? It's been pretty crazy roller coaster type year for these guys, and I feel for them because injuries have played a huge part in that. They looked tired on the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, they look like a totally different team than they were on Friday. I don't know if they thought they were just going to walk out there and win games, but it looked like a different team, and it looks tired, which is not a good sign coming up down the home stretch here. So it's a really hard team to put your thumb on what exactly their identity is, but it's been quite the roller coaster ride.
I mentioned it off the top. Going to Houston this weekend, they are currently second in the American Conference. We are a game back from them. So this is a huge series, right? If we win 2 or 3 or sweep this, we're getting ourselves right back in the driver's seat. But to do that, Steven, what needs to happen?
Well, they can't be leaving guys on base like they did all weekend. That's a big problem. And then giving up 16 runs. I know it's the number 6 team in the country, but anytime you score 10 runs, you got to win a ball game. And so you got to pitch in those big situations. They need their starters to give them a good start. They need to get quality starts out of those guys, and they need to be able to move runners. What we've seen is they get those runners on base, but they're not moving them over and getting them in like they should be executing on offense. So you need quality starts, guys throwing 5 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, so 5 or more. Try to hold them under 2-3 runs, and then they need to be able to move guys over and get them in. If they're going to get them on like they've been doing, they just have to execute better in that situational hitting area.
Well, we know it's going to be a tough weekend this week. Houston, give us a little scouting report. Do they have a stud pitcher we need to look out for? What's their lineup look like?
They got a couple of bats that are going to be tough, but you'd rather that, right? You'd rather that than going out there and facing a guy that's one of the best in the country. Now they got some good arms too. They're well coached, and so they're going to have some good guys. They're going to have some good players, but they're not a team they're not unbeatable. They're not, one of those superhero type teams. They got some guys just like we have some guys. And so it just depends what team shows up. I think if UCF just focuses on themselves and stop worrying about the other side, I think that's when they're going to take a big jump too, because they got plenty of talent themselves, and just trying to get that to show up on a nightly basis has been quite the challenge. So hopefully they can get it right But they do have Houston has some good players, and they're going to compete because they're trying to win a conference too. So
Ben Vespi a week ago, AAC Pitcher of the Week. He's showing consistency now. Need him again for another good start on Friday.
Yeah, he's been great, and I think he's a guy he's just gone with the flow, right? He started out as basically the closer this year, right? And then he's pitched some middle relief, and now he's come on strong as a starter. And you just didn't know what you were going to get him starting, and now next thing you know, he's been very consistent, like you said, and they need him to be that the rest of the year. If they're going to do anything, they need that guy to get going and stay going like he has been. But they also need some of those guys to get healthy. Connor Stain's got to come back. Hopefully we get to see Alex Freeland. Hopefully they get healthy. Hopefully those guys that have been playing well can stay consistent.
Steven, I'm always going to ask you the hard-hitting questions around here. I noticed that Houston has an all-field turf field, right? So no natural grass. It's all that natural synthetic field stuff. Does that have any impact on the way that the team plays? Is there anything specific they need to do in advance to prepare for that kind of a surface?
Just the hops are easy in the infield. It's going to be a little bit quicker. In all facets, it's going to play faster. So the ball on the ground is going to have a little bit to it. But then also running, you're going to be going a little bit faster. The biggest thing that I found in some of those situations where you're on a turf field is you got to practice your sliding, because you slide a lot further on that turf. And so you'll see guys that slide right past bases. So that's a big preparation point for the offense. But defensively, it's actually easier to play on turf. But offensively, it's something to get used to, because some of those balls that you're not expecting to get through might get through. And then some of those times where you're running and you got to slide right into the base, or slide a little bit early, because you'll see guys slide right past it their first time playing.
We discussed a little bit of hockey last week. Your Rangers stayed alive last night. They have the guts. Are they going to pull it off? Are they going to make the comeback, finish this thing?
I don't know. They've been so bad in some of these games. I mean, giving up 5 goals, 7 goals, all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's like, I don't know. You got their goalie is a Hart Trophy finalist. And I'm sitting here like, man, he looks like he's Swiss cheese at this point. But, I hope so. It's been crazy to watch. A lot of ups and downs. It seems like UCF baseball, right? I mean, they have good games and bad games, and it's just been a crazy roller coaster so far. But I'm hoping so. I might have to throw my jersey on at some point and bring some good luck. I don't know.
I think that first game wore out Shesterkin. We had like 79 saves.
I know. It was crazy. That guy, I mean, it was like nonstop. It was like a Tommy gun of shots just coming at him. So I do have to show you guys. I have this here. So
there we go.
Product placement.
See this?
Nice. What's in that tumbler?
It's water. It's water.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Same here. Okay. You're an A-lister who I enjoy texting during games. I like the direct one word awful in response to something that is going on. Awful. And I'm like, that's all I need. That's the analysis that you need from Stephen Brockett on ESPN Plus or be a test.
I don't hold back much you should see the text threads that Mark and I have during games sometimes, even if we're sitting next to each other. There's times where if you listen closely in some of the broadcasts, he's laughing pretty hard in the background. I got to stop doing that to him though. But we have a good time. We have a really good time together, but there's, sometimes it's just when it's brutal, it's brutal. I mean, it is what it is.
I'm glad everybody's just drinking water out of those tumblers.
Steven, Steven, I tried to nail you down at a baseball team. You dodged us on that one. Yep. You tried to nail you down at a football team. You dodged me in that one. Last week, very excited to learn you're a hardcore Rangers fan. As we are recording now, NBA playoffs are on. We got Heat Sixers. Heat are up, which is fantastic, by the way. What's your NBA team? So let's get to know Steven again this week. Who's your NBA team? You cannot tell me you have guys on NBA teams. I'm not buying.
I like the Magic. I'll be a Magic guy. I'll be a hometown guy.
Winning.
No, not right now. It's never been a sport that I really did follow much. I actually work with some guys now that are huge NBA fans, so I follow a lot closer because we just talk about it all the time. But I like the Magic. I like some of the young talent that they have, and I think they got some things they can do in the future. But I'm hoping that it's Milwaukee and Miami, because I might go down and try to see a game. So,
Okay.
that I think that'd be a
co-sign that.
That'd be a fun
You're
trip.
in luck right now. Heater up 68-52 in Game 6.
Go.
So you're in luck right now.
I like that. All right, that's good.
All right, Steven, let's see if the Knights can come out of Houston with a couple of wins at least. And,
I'd like to
head
see
back
it.
home for 4 and roll into the conference tournament with a little momentum. A lot of ifs in that. Steven Bronca, part of the ESPN Plus broadcast covering the Knights. Thanks for being with us this week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Steven.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
Grace, hold
Mike.
on really quick. Sorry. An important update. Eric Lopez has gotten back to us. So here's the response to your question. He was watching the Heat game, but Minnesota did not host as committee knocked their non-conference schedule. Minnesota RPI was 13, but did not host despite number 1 rank.
That's insane.
They went to Alabama.
Yeah.
So back to back. You can interpret that any way you want, by the way. I'm not sure why they were in Alabama. They went to Alabama is all you need to know.
That's crazy. All right, Mike, NFL schedule out. Give me the wins and the losses. Giants at Titans.
Loss.
I'm going to just count the wins. I'm just going to keep one hand.
Yeah.
Panthers at Giants.
Win.
That's a 1. Cowboys at Giants.
Loss.
Okay. Bears at Giants. Oh, that's a barn burner right there.
Win.
That's 2.
Wow.
Giants at Packers. Let's move on.
Loss.
Giants at Jags.
Win.
Good W.
Is that 3? Giants at Seahawks. That's tough.
We're doing the whole thing?
At
Oh,
Seahawks. I think they'll lose that one too.
Texans at Giants.
I'll be over here if you need me.
Win.
Just hanging out.
Lions at Giants. Ooh.
Win again.
So that's
We're
5 right
rolling,
there.
man. We're rolling.
Giants at Cowboys. No.
No, they'll probably lose that one too.
Commanders. That's not easy to remember. At Giants.
I know what you're
I
done.
say they'll split with the Commanders. So give me one of those.
Then they have a week off, and then they go to the Commanders.
Yeah. So those, like I said, they'll win one, they'll lose one.
So is that 6? Giants at Vikings.
Loss. Yeah. Loss.
Colts at Giants.
Another loss.
Giants at Eagles.
That's a loss. But there's another Eagle game in there too. They're going to split with the Eagles too.
So 7?
7 wins. Yeah. Not bad.
7 is like your 12-0 UCF prediction. Let's go around the
That's
kingdom.
schedule. That's a weak schedule, and the whole NFC East has that weak schedule because you're playing 2 divisions, the NFC North and the AFC South that just stink. They have one good team in it. So
that bodes well for Giant Nation. Let's go around the kingdom real quick. Good luck. Men's golf in the New Haven Regional NCAA tournament begins May 16th. Women's golf, they're out, finished 11th in the NCAA tournament in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Women's basketball, finally, some players coming in from the portal and some coaching staff fill out. Tennille Adams, previously associate head coach at Memphis, so knows a little bit about UCF and the AAC. Greg Brown, previously assistant coach at Texas A&M, was at UCF for 5 years back in 07 to 12, assistant coach, then associate coach. And Ashley DeVoe, previously director of basketball operations at Syracuse. So some coaching staff and some players added. So welcome to Coach Messer and UCF. Good to see some moves there. Let's open up that mailbag. Where are we at in the walk and talk department? Any this week?
We have one, Trace. We do have a walk and talk, and this should sound familiar to everybody.
What's up, Sons? Out here in future SEC country, Austin, Texas, repping UCF. Had a question for you. A couple questions, actually. First one is, if we only get to play Texas or Oklahoma in the potential 1 year we're together, which one would you rather play? And of our new Big 12 foes, who are you most excited about suiting up against in football? Have a good one, guys.
Guy looks familiar.
He does. So the answer to his question, so it depends on who the quarterback at Oklahoma is, if you know what I'm talking about, because that would be quite a matchup if there's some karma that comes back there. So I'll go Oklahoma. Who are we most excited to play against? I don't really know Oklahoma State's typically a good team. I look at it more what's an experience to go to. Not looking forward to going to Lubbock. But Baylor's got a nice little new stadium there in Waco. Maybe I'll go Baylor on that one.
yeah, I agree on both accounts. Oklahoma, we've never played them before. We've played Texas a couple times already, so I'd like to play Oklahoma. And Baylor, sailgating sounds like a lot of fun. So I think I'd like to check that.
You and Mario just renting a boat right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At Chad UCF, discuss our linebacker depth. Moving on to our next question. Is there any linebacker depth? Oof.
Well, we brought Chris Mullen from UAB, so obviously a veteran player, an established player. I know there's talk about a kid in the portal who was in Maryland and then went to Kansas State for about a hot minute. He's on the radar. Who knows? But it's looking a little bit loose in the linebacker room, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this Terrence Lewis situation, but it's not looking good right now.
At Fit to the Max 24. And Fit to the Max, you can ask this question every week. I love fanning this. Which quarterback starts the season at QB1? John Rice Plumlee. I've been saying that from the beginning.
I don't know. Are people keeping track of what I say each week? Because I remember what I said last time. I don't know if anyone remembers it. So I feel like I can go either way.
He's our accountability.
I'm sure I'm going to get,
Eric Lopez also keeps us, fact checks us.
Well, in that case, I'm going John Rice Plumlee.
King Kong, baby. I'm sticking with King Kong.
Similar vein of question from All Night. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 L's from All Night. Plumlee, he says, listed at plus 5,000 to win the Heisman outright. Mikey Keene, no odds listed. Does Vegas know something we don't?
Yeah, they know Plumlee's name is pretty much all that would be. I mean, look, I'm willing to throw down like $5 and see what happens there, but it would have to be one of those magical carpet ride style seasons for that to take place. I'd love it though. I mean, shoot, we've had Dante and KZ loosely in conversations for Heisman stuff, but we've never really had a nice Heisman campaign. I'd love one of those around here. I guess Kevin Smith potentially as well, but I'd love it.
Not a real legit push for a Heisman campaign.
It's not going to happen.
Well, Brian W. Peterson. I like the Brian W. Peterson questions. Hope everything's going well in the, what is it, car sales? What did we have him doing? Was it?
He's your car warranty is expired.
Yeah. How long before some UCF fans realize USF is on the rise and won't be bad forever? He recalls a time, of course, when UCF fans were treated poorly by USF fans, and he doesn't want to see us go back and do that to them. They, of course, made some news this week bringing in a Baylor transfer quarterback. How long should we be concerned?
Jerry Bohannon is the kid they brought in. I mean, they're going to get better at some time. How good is better going to be is the question. And will we be around at that point to even experience the better? I do think this year's game, though, is going to be competitive. I mean, last year they played us tough. I mean, it was a down-to-the-wire style game. Obviously, a lot different team. But I'm curious now with Bohannon, and they had something going with Jimmy McClain. So what happens with him? It's the transfer portal era. Timmy McClain. So if Timmy and Jimmy decide to leave, that's a big hit for the Cows. So, they're going to be improved, and I think this year is going to be a tough game.
Well, can they get any worse? They've been at the bottom of this conference for the last 5 years, and they were pretty competitive before that. But they've never won a division. They've never played in a conference championship game. The best they've ever done is third place. I expect them to get back into the middle of the pack somewhere, but to think they're going to be great in this next coming year, I don't think they're going to be that good. We should be able to beat them.
At Statboy Andrew weighing in, asking about the schools added to the AAC for men's soccer. Does he think, he's asking, do we think that will play a role in where UCF ultimately ends up? I don't. Of course, our friends over at the Black and Gold Banneret believe that they're going to the Sun Belt now. So I don't. AAC is doing what it needs to do to fortify its conference, and they're not worried about where UCF goes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe, Statboy Drew listened to his own podcast. He's got some updated info there, right? But no, and on a serious note, the Sun Belt's a good soccer conference. I mean, that's a good landing spot from a men's soccer perspective if that's where you end up. So it's not a bad little gig, but I don't know. I think the AAC UCF stuff is it's becoming a bad marriage that everyone recognizes that everyone's got to kind of separate out. And I think the faster you get apart from each other, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, we don't have to deal with the Resco at all anymore. Then that's fine with me.
Hello, Mary Ashbaugh6, asking how we feel about women's basketball. I'm glad to see some coaches hired and some portal players come in. Going to be a long off season for Coach Messer.
We back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're back yet.
Another one from All Night saying about baseball losing 2 out of 3 over in Tampa. Up and down season, as we talked about with Steven. Which UCF team are we expecting to see towards the end of this season with the big series against Houston? Who knows? Nobody knows.
Paper, scissors, shoot on this one. Yeah, I think if we knew that, we would have a much better gauge of what to expect. I mean, all you need to know is this is a big series. I mean, UCF's got to take at least 2 or 3, if not a sweep, if they want to get some good momentum going into the conference championship. Houston's a good team. Road games, obviously, they've got to show up this weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they get a couple of wins here. Maybe start playing with confidence to end the year. And this is all about seeding now for that conference tournament. That's going to play a big role. You don't want to get a bad draw early in that tournament.
Hi, Lauren. Hope things are well with you. Eric Lopez Elo weighing in with a question. If you can attend a UCF postseason sporting event that's not football or men's hoops, what would you pick? I'm guessing Eric would say softball. I'd love to go to a College World Series.
This is the caveat. Yeah, this is the caveat for me. I need to know the stakes of the game I'm going to go to, right? If you're asking me, you're telling me it's a Final Four style event or it's some sort of a final tournament situation. I think softball, volleyball would be exciting too because there's a lot of back and forth action. So I would take either of those two.
Omaha. It's got to be College World Series. I've watched that since I was a little kid. It's got to be that.
And we'll end with @QC Hef. I love that Twitter
Your favorite
handle.
name, I know, every time.
If Mikey Keene is King Kong, coined by UCF Mike, and Thomas Castellanos is Tommy Gunn, what's a good nickname for John Rice Plumlee aside from JRP? Johnny Ice, Wild Rice, the Mississippi Reaper, the Hattiesburg Howitzer. Mike, you're the nickname guy. What do you think?
I think we're trying too hard with this nickname thing. It's just JRP. That's what it is. Until something.
Look, I think Wild Rice is actually pretty interesting. You don't hear that a lot. There's already a lot of ices. There's a Matty Ice already, and I don't like the Mississippi or the Hattiesburg connection because he's not there anymore. Yeah. So I don't want that. So I think Wild Rice is actually interesting, Mike. I think you're a hell. I remember. In college, you made a lot of rice in a little rice cooker. I know you're a rice fan. I got to think you're on the board of Wild Rice, no?
I like it. You know what we need? He needs somebody along with him. Maybe when they do these running back packages, somebody's got to be the pollo. He can be arroz con pollo. They could catch on somewhere down the line.
I think Brian Peterson said rice-a-roni. I think
Mario's got vanilla rice as an option.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's good.
Entertaining guest for you guys on the pod this week. One, Billy Giovanetti, who sounded ready to hit someone. I think that was a direct quote. Yeah. He's ready to hit.
Yeah, no, I had to lock my door after the interview because I was afraid he was driving up to see me. Four fun things about Billy Giovanetti that we learned. One, he accidentally became a fullback. So listen to how that conversation happened. 2, his brother got chewed out by George O'Leary, and he kind of enjoyed watching it. 3, he's got a good recall for random players who played for Marshall that may or may not have hit him. And 4, he described every person he played against as he can thump. Do with that information what you will. Go download the show and fill in the gaps around the rest of it.
This guy was a great interview. I really enjoyed talking to him. I think we might have him on in the future. So stay tuned. I really like this one.
Bring him on a live show sometime. A live show that featured Michael Hoffman, Phil Dalhauser, Stephen Bronca, and of course all of you. Adam, quick, give us where people can follow us, social media, the Insta, and all that good stuff.
Ready to write this down, everybody?
Yeah.
@Sons of UCF.
That's everything.
But YouTube at UCF, twonightsmedia.com, another fantastic spot you want to visit. We're all over the place. We still got to get those subscribers. I think we want 450, and you get one of the original Stephen Bronca style mugs that's over my head behind me here. So get to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, get your friends, get your relatives, find your grandmother, do somebody, hit subscribe, and somebody's going to get a free mug. We're giving stuff away, people. Giving stuff.
We may get tattoos if we get far enough, right?
That was 10,000, bro. We haven't been off 350 yet. I'm pretty comfortable that I will go tattoo free for a long period of time.
I'll get one at 10,000.
There you go.
All right.
I'm comfortable.
There we go.
Yeah.
We need the bots. Somebody fire up the Russian bots. Get us to 10,000. Let's go.
All right, everybody. Adam, enjoy the rest of this Heat game as it approaches the fourth quarter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. For Adam and Mike, I'm Trey Strolko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
B just tripped himself.